Okay, to really understand who we are today, we've got to take a journey way, way back. I want you to transport yourself all the way back to the pitch black origins of human history. We're talking a time long, long before the hum of electricity, the glow of your smartphone, or city streetlights. We're diving into the story of the single greatest turning point in our entire evolutionary timeline. Imagine a world completely without light, zero warmth. Picture the sun dipping below the horizon, plunging you into absolute impenetrable darkness. In this world, night meant terror. The distant growls of predators were a constant, very real threat, and every meal you managed to scavenge, eaten entirely raw and completely cold. And here's the wild part. For over 90% of human history, that dark, vulnerable, terrifying existence was our absolute reality. It's kind of unfathomable to our modern minds, right? Generation after generation lived and died in the dark, totally at the mercy of the elements and whatever roamed the night. Until one single flickering orange spark changed absolutely everything. Which brings us to a really fascinating realization. We didn't invent fire, we stole it. Picture those early hominids. Their first encounters with fire weren't these calm moments of discovery. No, they were terrifying events brought on by totally destructive natural forces. Think a sudden lightning strike hitting an ancient tree, flames erupting in slow motion. Or a violent volcanic eruption. Just imagine the sheer bravery it must have taken for a primal figure, eyes wide with fear and wonder, to cautiously approach that towering inferno. Someone actually had to be the first to extend a branch into those wild flames and carry a burning, dancing torch back to the shadows of the cave. And this brilliantly illustrates the immediate, just miraculous advantages gained by those brave enough to conquer their fear. Sure, the origins were entirely natural, like lightning and volcanoes, but the benefits? Instantaneous. Suddenly they had light to banish the darkness. They had warmth to survive the bitter ice. And most importantly, they tasted cooked meat for the very first time. Cooking made nutrients vastly more available, which literally fundamentally altered the structure and size of our brains. Smiles were shared, kids gathered around a communal glow, and boom, human society was basically born. Now, there was a pretty fragile reality to this new power, because despite these incredible benefits, early humans were still totally at the mercy of the heavens. Fire was wildly unpredictable. A sudden storm could extinguish it in seconds. And because they couldn't just create it from scratch, tribes physically carried burning embers with them as they migrated, guarding them like sacred treasures. Losing the flame literally meant going back to that terrifying darkness. Then we hit a monumental milestone. Around 400,000 years ago, humanity experienced a revolutionary breakthrough. This is the exact moment the script flipped. The era when our ancestors fundamentally severed their absolute dependence on nature's unpredictability. And here are the mechanics of that miracle. Homo erectus actually learned how to make fire on command, utilizing friction through the bow drill, mastering the strike of flint against pyrite, watching those tiny sparks ignite a sudden, beautiful flame. We were no longer just opportunistic scavengers, waiting around for a lucky lightning strike. We became true creators. To the rest of the natural world, we had essentially become gods, commanding the elements right at our fingertips. By mastering the spark, fire transformed into so much more than just a way to stay warm. It became our very first technology. It cooked our food, fueling that unprecedented growth of our brains we talked about, but it was also our first laboratory, our first furnace. It allowed us to harden clay pots and tools, creating lethal weapons capable of bringing down massive mammoths. Eventually, it allowed us to smelt metals. This single stolen element enabled massive, unprecedented biological and industrial leaps forward. Let's track this incredible acceleration of human progress, all fueled by combustion. First, cooked food and brain growth, then firing clay into pottery. Next, a massive leap as we smelt metal ore, launching humanity straight out of the Stone Age and into the Bronze Age. And then, as centuries blur into fast motion, heating water to create steam, powering the entire Industrial Revolution. The glowing forge, the blacksmith's hammer, the small village expanding into a sprawling metropolis. It is all tethered to this single, blazing trajectory. It's so important to connect this ancient history directly to our lives right now. When you look out over a modern city at night and see billions of lights twinkling, or when you see a firefighter battling a blaze, Or, hey, even when you just blow out a candle on a birthday cake, you are witnessing the legacy of that first stolen spark. Fire didn't get left behind in the caves. It's the original element that made us human. And today, it still burns within every combustion engine on our roads, within the massive power plants lighting our grid, and metaphorically and biologically, within every beating heart fueled by the cooked nutrients that sustain us. Whenever we gather around a flame, we're connecting to those first brave ancestors who dared to reach into the fire. When we look back at roughly 400,000 BC, we really start to realize its ultimate weight. This wasn't merely a lucky discovery to stay warm. No way. It was the definitive catalyst that lit the path out of the animal kingdom and into human civilization. By grabbing hold of the fire, we quite literally grabbed hold of the future itself. I want to leave you with a profound thought to carry with you. Consider our primal relationship with the flame. When we look at how it shaped our bodies, grew our brains, and built our modern world, we really have to ask ourselves, who was actually shaping who? We didn't discover fire. Fire discovered us. So the next time you strike a match, ask yourself, what evolutionary leap are we sparking right now without even knowing it?